not to mention, obviously, I have a book to sell. This book is actually not really, it's actually a first really for Cisco in the sense that it's the first book where it's all about, what are the CLI, concrete CLI, syntax commands to put into a router. It's actually about an architectural approach to how you build systems effectively. Right. And just for your interest, I get less than $1 a book. So the publishers are making all the money, not me. Okay, so purely for your information. So that's pretty much my 1 hour with you guys. And I want to leave a few minutes of Q&A if you have any questions. So please ask. Was that interesting? Did you learn something today?
Yeah.
Going back to the self-service.
Can you stand up and shout a bit?
Yeah.
Going back to the self-service interface aspect, I was wondering what software you use to deploy the virtual appliances onto the product catalog.
So virtual appliances as in firewalls or load balancers and stuff like that?
Yeah, or even virtual desktops. I'm not sure what virtual machines you guys wrap up.
That's a good question, right? So there's a number of there's a chain of different components there that need to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Firstly, the self-service portal is an abstraction, remember that, okay? It's an abstract model of all the services. So what makes a service? Not just the technical aspects, but the delivery aspects as well. How quickly would you respond to an outage or what kinds of business, yeah? How fast can you deliver the service, etc. Then there's the orchestration layer, which is the workflow there that does a lot of the magic. But essentially, you have to do two things with those devices. You have to, first of all, provision the actual capability, and then instantiate the policy as well. So there's two aspects. So you need to speak to a policy engine, but you also need to be able to talk to a capability to actually fulfill or orchestrate or deliver, a domain manager, if you wish, or element manager to actually deliver that capability. Does that make sense? So you've got two aspects there. Yeah. There's also a third aspect, kind of thinking about it, which is the, remember I was talking about the ability to abstract the service chain from the underlying infrastructure? So you need also a capability to have that knowledge around the semantics of building that service chain as well. Does that?
Yeah, thanks.
So this isn't really the topic of your thing. This is more a blue sky and your perspective of things. But do you think we're really ready for this really big shift in stuff from the desktop to being this cloud sort of thing?
No.
Because there seems to be the whole Google thing, Google Docs, put it all on the web, everything blah 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 online, and it can be sort of mitigated by like the sort of the Google download offline blah blah blah. But so I have a new service provider for my internet at the moment, and basically you can't use iPlayer because they're oversubscribed. Now, if I needed to use sort of a web-based application for my work, going with the current provider I've got would basically, I now can't do any work. Do you think we're at the stage where the UK infrastructure can really support this everything online, or?
No, this is a really good question. Basically, I think your question boils down to offline versus online capabilities. Right?
Yeah.
So I think there's when I'm working with, say, Vodafone, global IoD, this is top of their agenda, right? Number one, it's so I think there is the answer is I think yes, we do have infrastructure, but it's infrastructure. We're coming out with routers that are multi-terabit, 400, 40, 100 gig interfaces, that kind of thing. So at the current linear growth, we have a problem, yeah. But we're looking at smart ways to try to reduce that growth, if you wish, through intelligence in the network, like content caching, that kind of bit. But also, from a client endpoint perspective, technologies like HTML5, where you can have, local cache manifests and stuff like that. So you actually do work offline. What that set of, capabilities are, is up to the developer to decide what that is. I've seen other sorts of interesting university in Birmingham outfits. They used to be called SnapMe, CNAP.NE, and they basically built a compiler. So when you build an application, say it's a word processor, they can compile it into sorts of different modules, and then behind that, what they can do is use what they call distributed hash tables, in PHP networking, to uniquely identify information. What that means is that I can download parts of the word processor, and when I need another part of that word processor, say you're in this classroom here today, say you need that extra module. One of the guys and girls over here actually has that download that module. You can download it locally rather than over the network. Yeah. So it's thinking about different ways of how you can cache and deliver. And this particular case is very useful for Africa. Low latency, also high latency, low bandwidth connections.
So there are still open problems there, you'd say, and they're interesting open problems.
I think across the IT industry, there's so much interesting stuff. I struggle day to day to try to keep up with what on earth is going on. There's always someone new coming around the corner with something slightly different, and you're trying to figure out what these US units are, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really exciting times as far as I'm concerned. But we're working hard to help solve problems, put it that way. The challenges is what we'd like to say about the problem.
Thank you.
And when you talk about the layer separation, the slide that you said we need to avoid the leaking of the network topologies towards the users. So why is it necessary to avoid that kind of leaking?
Yes. So
if the network users can.
Yes. So you're absolutely right. So let me go back to that slide. That's a really good question. So we